The day humanity officially joined the Galactic Union was supposed to be the proudest moment in our history. Instead, it nearly got me killed. My name is Daniel Carter, former cargo pilot, occasional smuggler, and apparently the first human idiot bold enough to accidentally challenge an alien princess. It all started on the station Aurelian Prime, a massive orbital city floating above a blue gas giant. The station was so large that its inner ring held forests, lakes, and entire districts built for different alien species. The Galactic Union liked to show off its power and diversity. For the first time in history, Earth had been invited. And somehow, through a chain of bureaucratic accidents and one drunken ambassador who owed me a favor, I was chosen to represent humanity at a ceremonial gathering called the Selection Banquet. Nobody explained what that meant. That should have been my first warning. The arrival. The banquet hall looked like a cathedral built by gods. The ceilings stretched hundreds of meters above us, glowing with drifting lights that mimicked stars. Massive pillars carved from crystal spiraled upward, reflecting the colors of dozens of alien species seated around circular tables. Some guests were towering reptilian beings with polished armor plates. Others were tall, elegant creatures made of shimmering light. A few looked disturbingly similar to humans except for the extra arms, silver skin, or glowing eyes. And then there was me, just a human in a borrowed diplomatic suit that was slightly too tight. The union officials had briefed me earlier. Just smile, be respectful, and don't start any interspecies incidents. I nodded confidently. Of course, they forgot to explain the actual rules of the banquet. The princesses. At the center of the hall stood a raised platform. Upon it sat 13 women. At least, they looked like women. Each belonged to one of the most powerful species in the Union. Their clothing ranged from elegant robes made of living crystal to armor that shimmered with faint energy. Every single one of them radiated the kind of presence that made powerful politicians look like nervous children. And behind them stood a towering alien official known as the Grand Arbiter. His voice echoed through the hall like thunder. Representatives of the Galactic Union, tonight we celebrate humanity's entry into our alliance. Polite applause filled the hall. Then his glowing eyes turned toward me. Human Daniel Carter stepped forward. My stomach sank. I had the sudden feeling I was about to regret something. The announcement. The Arbiter continued. As is tradition when a new civilization joins the Union, the representative must choose a bond. The hall went silent. I blinked. A bond. The Arbiter gestured toward the 13 women seated behind him. One of these noble daughters of the great houses. My brain stalled. You mean a political partnership? A few alien diplomats chuckled quietly. The Arbiter tilted his head. A marriage. The word echoed through the hall. I nearly fainted. Marriage? Nobody told me anything about this. I leaned toward the nearest human diplomat in the audience. You knew about this? He whispered back nervously. We thought you did. Fantastic. The choice. The Arbiter spoke again. You may choose any of them. The 13 women watched me calmly. Some looked curious. Some looked amused. One looked like she was already bored. And one looked dangerous. She sat at the far end of the platform. Tall. Black hair like flowing midnight. Eyes glowing faintly silver. Her dress looked less like fabric and more like liquid darkness wrapped around her form. Unlike the others, she wasn't smiling. She looked like a predator observing prey. I leaned toward the Arbiter. Quick question, what happens if I pick wrong? War, he replied casually. I stared at him. You're joking. He didn't blink. The pressure. The entire hall waited. Thousands of eyes stared at me. Every political faction in the galaxy probably had a favorite candidate. Picking the wrong one might anger half the Union. My hands started sweating. The first princess waved elegantly. She had golden skin and 4 arms. "Human," she said sweetly, "our worlds would prosper together." The second princess smiled. Her body shimmered like living glass. "I can offer technology beyond your imagination." The third leaned forward. "My fleet could protect Earth forever." One by one they made offers. Power. Alliances. Wealth. Influence. My brain felt like it was overheating. Then the dangerous one at the end spoke. Her voice was quiet, but the room instantly fell silent. "Choose anyone you wish, human." Her silver eyes locked onto mine. "I do not care." That tone. It sounded less like indifference and more like a challenge. My decision. Something about the entire situation suddenly irritated me. They were treating this like a political game, like I was some pawn meant to strengthen alliances. And that woman? She looked like she'd rather fight a war than marry anyone here. So, I did the one thing no diplomat would ever do. I pointed at her. That one. The hall exploded into chaos. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Several alien diplomats stood up in shock. The arbiter stared at me like I'd just detonated a bomb. "You choose." "Princess Valira of House Draction." I shrugged. "Yeah." A reptilian ambassador muttered loudly. "He just chose the deadliest woman in the Union." "Wait. What?" "The deadliest princess." Princess Valira slowly stood. The movement was graceful, but somehow terrifying. Her silver eyes narrowed slightly as she walked toward me. Whispers filled the hall. "She's a war commander. She once defeated 3 rival houses alone. No one chooses her. She scares even her own people." Oh good. I'd apparently proposed to the galaxy's most dangerous woman. Valira stopped directly in front of me. She studied my face carefully. "Human," she said slowly. "You understand who I am?" "Not really," I admitted. Her eyebrow lifted slightly. The arbiter cleared his throat. "Princess Valira commands the Draction war fleets." "Oh. They have conquered 17 star systems." "Oh. And she has personally killed several challengers in combat." "Oh." Valira leaned closer. "And yet you chose me." The entire room waited. My mouth moved before my brain could stop it. "You looked like the only one who didn't want to be chosen." Silence. Then something unexpected happened. She laughed. A dangerous smile. The sound shocked everyone. Apparently, Princess Valira didn't laugh often. Her silver eyes glimmered with amusement. "You chose me out of sympathy?" "Not sympathy," I said quickly. "Respect." The hall grew quiet again. I continued carefully. "You didn't try to sell me anything. No promises. No manipulation." I shrugged. That seemed honest. Valira stared at me for a long moment. Then she turned to the arbiter. "I accept." The arbiter blinked. "You do?" "Yes." The room erupted again. Apparently no one expected that outcome. Especially not me. After the banquet, an hour later, I found myself standing on a balcony overlooking the glowing city of Aurelian Prime. Next to me stood my new fiancée, Princess Valira. I still wasn't sure how that happened. She watched the stars silently. Finally, she spoke. "You have caused quite a political disaster." "Sorry. I did not say it was bad." I glanced at her. "What do you mean?" She folded her arms. "Every house expected you to choose one of the alliances already arranged. And I didn't. You chose chaos." I scratched my head. Story of my life. She studied me again. "You're not afraid of me." "I mean, I probably should be." "That is honest." The truth. Valira leaned against the railing. "My house is powerful, but isolated." "Why?" "Because war makes others uncomfortable." Understandable. My people respect strength above all else. She turned toward me. When you chose me, every faction in this hall realized something. What's that? That humanity might be more dangerous than expected. I laughed. You're giving me too much credit. Am I? Her silver eyes glowed faintly. You looked at the most feared woman in the galaxy and pointed. Honestly, I was just annoyed. That may be even worse. Trouble begins suddenly, a voice echoed behind us. Romantic. We turned. 3 alien nobles stood near the doorway, all armed. Valira sighed. That was fast. I whispered. Who are they? Assassins. Oh, good. The leader stepped forward. You have disrupted many plans tonight, human. Sorry about that. House Draction grows too powerful already. Valira cracked her knuckles calmly. You chose a poor moment to challenge me. The assassin smiled. We did not come for you. His weapon pointed at me. We came for him. The fight, everything happened quickly. Valira moved like lightning. Before the assassins could fire, she crossed the distance in a blur. Her hand struck the first attacker's weapon aside. The second swung a blade. She caught his wrist and flipped him over the railing. The third tried to shoot. I ducked instinctively. Valira's kick sent the weapon flying. 10 seconds later, all 3 attackers were unconscious. I stared. Remind me never to argue with you. She brushed invisible dust from her dress. Sensible. Security alarms finally began ringing. Guards rushed toward the balcony. Valira looked mildly annoyed. They are always late. The realization later that night we sat inside a quiet chamber. Medical drones hovered nearby just in case. Valira looked thoughtful. They will keep coming. Assassins? Yes. Because of me? Because of what your choice represents. I leaned back in the chair. I just picked the scary one. You chose the strongest. She looked directly into my eyes. That sends a message. What message? That humanity does not fear power. I laughed softly. Trust me, we fear plenty, but not enough to back down. She nodded slowly. That is why I accepted. The proposal. Valira stood and walked toward the window. Tell me something, Daniel Carter. Sure. If you had known who I was, would you still have chosen me? I thought about it. The truth surprised even me. Yeah. Why? Because everyone else was trying to control the situation. And me. You didn't care. I smiled slightly. That felt real. Valira was silent for a moment. Then she spoke quietly. Then perhaps this arrangement will work. You mean the marriage? Yes. I scratched my neck, still getting used to that part. Her lips curved slightly. I suppose we should start learning about each other. Probably a good idea. She extended her hand. Partner? I shook it. Partner. The beginning of something bigger. Over the following weeks, news of the banquet spread across the galaxy. Every government analyzed the footage. The moment when the human representative pointed directly at the most feared princess in the Union. Some saw recklessness. Some saw courage. But one thing became clear. Humanity was unpredictable, and unpredictable species were dangerous. As for me, I found myself traveling beside Princess Valira across the stars, meeting diplomats, stopping conspiracies, and occasionally dodging assassins. One evening aboard her warship, I asked her something. Do you regret accepting? She looked out at the endless stars. No, why not? Her silver eyes reflected the galaxy. Because you did something no one else in this hall dared to do. What's that? You chose me. She smiled faintly. And now the entire galaxy must deal with the consequences. I laughed. Sounds like a fun future. Valira looked back at me. For the first time, Her expression softened. Yes. Then she added quietly, I believe it will be. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the most unlikely alliance in the galaxy had just begun.